Hi everyone, I'm Cynthia ICYMI. Looking to catch up on big stories from the last week? You've come to the right place. First up, a WFAA exclusive. Our investigators spoke for the first time with a Dallas anesthesiologist accused of contaminating IV bags. From his jail cell, Reynaldo Ortiz told investigative reporter Tanya Iser he's innocent.
Dr. Ortiz? Dr. Ortiz, are you there?
Dr. Reynaldo Ortiz, the Dallas anesthesiologist accused of poisoning patients, wanted to tell his side of the story.
How much time do you have on this phone call?
He called us from the Limestone County Detention Center after we sent him a letter. He asked us not to broadcast his voice.
They're accusing you of contaminating these IV bags.
He told us, if you went to my hearing, all that stuff that they said was completely a lie. I've had no lawsuits, no malpractice in 29 years. Not one. According to this criminal complaint, for 3 months, from May to August of this year, 11 people who came in for routine outpatient surgeries suffered cardiac episodes on the operating tables at Baylor Scott & White's Surgicare, North Dallas. While Ortiz wasn't the anesthesiologist in any of those routine surgeries, prosecutors allege he tampered with IV bags used in them.
Let me ask you this. How rare would it be for 11 patients at a day surgery center to be coding like that?
Ortiz said, quote, "That is unusual. It's just unheard of because, that's where all the healthy people go. Does that make sense?"
So you feel like you're being set up, essentially?
He responded, "Oh, I'm very much being set up." But prosecutors say these 2 surveillance videos are key pieces of evidence. They show Ortiz placing IV bags in a warmer for use in surgeries. Both times after nurses pulled IV bags from it, a patient experienced a cardiac episode. Dr. Ortiz says a surveillance video of him placing an IV bag in the warmer is not what it looks like. Ortiz said, "Patients get cold with the anesthesia. Does that make sense? So we try to prefer to give them a warm bag."
You're just putting it back in there because it's gotten cold. Is that what you're saying?
Ortiz responded, "Absolutely right. The bag's already in the room because the anesthesia tech, he's the one that sets up our room. An hour, 2 hours later, that bag is cold because it's been sitting out, so I take it back." Ortiz pleaded not guilty to federal charges related to tampering with IV bags. Although investigators identified 11 patients affected, he was only indicted for 4 patients who underwent surgeries in August. Those 4 patients ranged from 18 to 78. One of them was this young man.
Jack is 18 years old, healthy, athletic, no medical problems.
His grandfather told us his grandson needed minor nose surgery for a sports injury.
There was a serious cardiovascular crisis in the operating room. Jack had to be placed on a life support. Jack's mom, my daughter, asked one of the doctors, "Is he going to make it?" And the answer was, 50-50 chance. Can you imagine how devastating that is?
Jack's grandfather, Dr. Daniel Wogelernter, is actually a cardiologist in Los Angeles.
Of course, I had no reason to suspect this was done intentionally. That line of thinking came out subsequently to our horror.
Records show his grandson was the last of 11 patients to experience cardiac complications during routine surgeries.
When there are unpredictable, unexplained episodes of serious complications, how do you let more than one go by? How do you not just put a pause on everything?
Although Jack and the other 10 patients survived, the indictment says Ortiz's actions caused the death of Melanie Kaspar. She was an anesthesiologist where Ortiz worked. In June, Dr. Kaspar was feeling sick and took an IV bag home to give to herself. She died, but her cause of death was not determined for 2 months. Her husband, John Kaspar, saw her die.
It was, the most agonizing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
On August 24th, tests came back showing she died from the toxic effects of an anesthetic. That's also the same day 18-year-old Jack almost died in surgery. Baylor shut down their facility that same day. The criminal complaint says testing found 2 anesthetics, and epinephrine in an IV bag used in Jack's surgery. In a statement, Baylor officials told WFA the facility engaged several experts to review its protocols and procedures, which confirmed the accessibility of medications and IV bags at the facility were in line with industry standards. The statement also said the facility resumed normal operations more than 4 weeks later, only after an extensive investigation. Investigators believe the problem was limited to one individual who has been arrested.
The buck stops at the hospital.
Dallas pulmonologist Alan Shulkin previously served on the Texas Medical Board, which oversees doctors. He said Baylor took too long to shut down the facility.
Hospital has to assume responsibility for it, whether it was some systems failure, whether it was an individual, an evil person.
Did they fail?
Yes, I think the hospital failed because they allowed surgery operations to continue without understanding what was happening.
What medical malpractice attorney Kay Van Way and other experts say about Ortiz's history with Baylor is equally concerning. In 2021, he relinquished his privileges at Baylor's North Garland Surgery Center. According to the medical board's findings, one of his patients needed CPR and he didn't act appropriately. Van Way questions why Baylor still allowed him to work at their North Dallas center.
What I've seen over and over and over again in medical malpractice cases is that great deference seems to be given to the physician's rights, and they want to give the physician due process. But in the meanwhile, what about the poor patient?
Baylor officials told us Surgicare North Garland reported its investigation of Dr. Ortiz to the Texas Medical Board. The statement did not address why he continued to work at the North Dallas Surgicare facility. We asked Ortiz about that North Garland patient whose surgery he was disciplined for. Ortiz said, quote, "That guy was a morbidly obese man. He was not healthy. He coded. I did everything we could." Ortiz told us that he only gave up his privileges in North Garland because that's what his attorney advised him to do. He said it would probably be just better to resign under investigation than to have your privileges revoked. So that's what we did. We asked Ortiz if there was anything he wanted to say directly, in his own voice.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
In Dallas, I'm Tanya Iser.
Somewhere in North Texas, there's a warehouse full of iPhones, and for good reason. Jason Wheeler went there in this edition of Right on the Money.
Is your battery always running low, or is your camera not so great anymore, or your web search is a little slow, or is all of that really fine, but that shiny new model just looks so good? Whatever your excuse or reason, a lot of you have been upgrading your smartphones, and I know that because it turns out that millions of traded-in cell phones each year go to a place right here in North Texas where they are made ready for their next life.
They go everywhere with us and hold our deepest secrets and our undivided attention for hours every day. But eventually, we swap them out for a new cell phone and box them up and send them away. But our old phones don't go too far at first.
If I'm returning a phone in Texas, it's probably coming through here.
It's a good chance that it's going to come through this facility, and we're going to receive it, refurbish it, and resell it from this building.
General Manager Jeremy Purvis gave me a rare tour of this giant Louisville operation.
The second largest of our facilities globally.
Run by Assurant. That's the company behind many cell phone providers' programs that allow you to get credit for trading in your old devices. Last year alone,
we paid about $3 billion back to end consumers for their trade-in values last year.
Many of those exchanged phones came to this non-stop warehouse.
3 shifts, near 24/7 operations.
Where thousands of our old devices arrive every day and are quickly transformed into someone else's new-ish device.
How fast do these phones go from that end when they come in to this end down here when you send them back out for sale?
Sure. Our goal is to have everything from front to back in less than 14 days.
With the help of robots,
taking images at every step of this,
they closely inspect those phones we've traded in.
How many scratches, how deep are the scratches, how does the device look?
Then careful human hands take away the blemishes.
It's getting buffed.
It is. It is.
And after a lot of tweaking and testing,
they are separated by grade and model and condition.
Sorted, then packaged And
so these are ready to be sold. Ready to be sold.
Considering how expensive new smartphones are now, the market for used ones has become huge and lucrative.
The overall used cell phone market last year was about $13.3 billion. We've seen about 30% growth year over year in demand for certified pre-owned devices.
Assurant processed 4 million swapped out devices in just this warehouse last year, and that was before Apple recently started selling the iPhone 14. Now, stock traders always want to know how many of those Apple is selling. We don't know, but we know this about trade-ins.
We're a month in. We're setting new records. This is about the 5th consecutive year that trade-in has been setting new volume records year over year.
Jeremy Purvis says we usually hold on to our phones for 3.5 years, but that Apple's newest phone appears to have
early adopters.
People who want the newer model and are trading in phones that aren't that old to get it.
The iPhone 12 is the highest volume trade that we are receiving right now.
If this all makes you ready for a swap, I have links to some sites that think that they have found all the best phone deals for this month. Just don't cut your finger on that cracked screen when you click to find my latest article. I'm at Jason Wheeler TV on Facebook and Twitter, keeping you right on the money.
If you drive up Texas Highway 5 through McKinney, you can't miss it. 100-foot grain silos are a vestige of the past, but an artist has given those silos new life and some hope for the future. Here's Jobin Paniker and photojournalist Brandon Mowry with this WFAA original.
The lines drawn early in history.
This was a separated community and it was divided by the train tracks.
Have left a mark.
This area has a lot of history.
On people.
They're just indicators and the white is a sketch.
This is the east side of McKinney.
And places.
The silo sits at the entrance to the east side.
People don't pay attention to the details.
The push-pull relationship of layers.
But if physical and figurative lines can divide, they can also connect.
Everybody's talking about it.
He wrestles with it, that ultimately he's judged by everybody.
Guido Van Helten.
I tell him I got a very strange job.
Has an impossible job. An Australian artist who's charged with redrawing the lines.
I'm very particular about colors and shapes.
They are enormous canvases to work on.
The old concrete grain silos, a towering vestige of the past, but more importantly to the people here, an entrance to McKinney's east side.
There's a whole community here and there's depth to it.
Historically home to black and brown families.
You can mix skin tones from just two colors in blue.
He looked at the community that we are.
The first time I was wondering, is they gonna put some color to it?
Guido spent months just learning.
I always kind of feel like it's a second home, this space.
Documenting, finding.
As many seats.
McKinney.
You know, so.
The artist is amazing.
To me, it feels like it's the first day at school and I don't know anyone.
And no one knew him. He took hundreds of photos around town to find one.
This was a moment in time.
She's a giant. Mm-hmm.
The girl whose picture he captured one Juneteenth and whose gaze now captures a city.
Oh, it just melts your heart.
I see a celebration.
And she's like, come on, mama.
To many here, it is a perfectly placed invitation.
Allowing us to be reflective of what we've become.
He's just fantastic. Guido!
And it bends the lines drawn so long ago.
I can always look back, now I'm gonna look forward. That's what I get out of it.
I want people to see themselves in it.
It is one thing to identify with the mural.
But it seems like I know her too.
It is something else to be its identity.
A lot of people have a lot of interpretations of what it means.
Zoe King.
People are just astounded that it's so realistic.
A smart and humble 15-year-old.
That gaze that you get is so powerful because it's noticing you.
Never saw Guido take that photo.
I didn't even know that the painting was going on at all.
Never knew she was being painted.
I turn, I look, and I'm like, well, there's my face.
But she did know it was never about her.
It's obviously more than me.
It is what she represents.
There's no lie in those images. This is McKinney.
And this
is what I felt, this is what I came across.
Is her city.
It's almost like a new beginning to this side of McKinney. It's always been home to me.
Even 30, 40 years down the track after the paint fades.
East side, west side.
And any lines do too.
I want people to feel it, read into it more, and feel something from it.
In McKinney.
This is home. This is home.
I'm Jobin Paniker.
If you want to see more great WFAA storytelling like the stories you just watched, be sure to watch WFAA News at 10 p.m. And don't forget that replays right here on WFAA Plus. We'll see you next week.